Good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Buckeye Roast here with your boy Ron James of Best Damn Media here with QP Ski of Best Damn Media. Man, I mean I should be calling it I should be saying good afternoon with how late the score is. If we were any later, man, I didn't even get a chance to tweet the show. So if you're watching, go ahead and do us a favor and tweet that out and let people
Shout to
know
you.
we are doing a show today. Shout out to you guys, man. Q, how you doing with all of this rest you got starting the show? So
I
goddamn
guess
late.
I got a little bit. We've been trying to figure out a quick minute. Appreciate y'all showing up. Sorry for being late. We're trying to get back on schedule. We do want to get a guest for y'all, but that will be moved to tomorrow. We're here. I mean,
We
right
tried
now.
to get a guest and they bailed on us. So if you guys know TK on the timeline, go ahead and at
You
him.
had to call
Tell
him
him
out.
he stinks. He couldn't make it this morning. So it's all his fault. No, Charles, you did not miss the show.
So this
Shout out
on
to Craig
us.
for being the first one in the chat. We are just hella unprofessional. So shout out.
Yeah, sorry, y'all.
Yeah,
Honestly, our biggest concern against Penn State might be how our beards look on Saturday because we try to figure out for the show. See Rob with the clean cut over there. And
you know,
this is
like, man, I look fucking crazy without a beard on the show. And he goes, "Why did you shave?" And I was like, every time I try to trim my beard, I fuck it up. So I just take the whole thing off. We had the instant reaction on Bleacher Report on Saturday, right after the game. So hopefully your boy has a little bit of facial hair by then. But man, this shit looks crazy.
oh man. Too funny, but yeah, we wanted to get in here for y'all for a few minutes. Appreciate y'all showing up again. Thank you so much, and we're gonna do some concerns that we have about Penn State. But if you got anything you want us to talk about, just go ahead and throw it in there. We'll run with it. As we have a couple of concerns on top of our heads, so we'll go with those and we'll hop into it. But yeah, and also don't forget Fans Edge tonight at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. They will be on time. They always are. They're reliable.
Significantly more reliable.
Oh man. But yeah, so Ron, I guess we can do top two-ish, top three concerns and get those in there. I will start with mine to give you a quick minute on yours. And like I said, if you got any, just throw it in there. We'll touch on and get as much as we can get done. We gotta get out of here. So for me, I'll start. If you were to ask me on Saturday, and Ron and I talked about this yesterday, our biggest concerns. Honestly, overall, not crazy worried. Feel like the team goes in there and gets done as long as certain things happen. But if you were to ask me, like, what could derail those? They'll throw us right off. One, this is a big time matchup for this offensive line going against this pass rush. Talked about it. Kyle McCord played extremely well last game, so that would be my top one. He played extremely well last game, and for the most part, it's got pretty clean. We did have the strip sack in the second half, but besides that, he was doing fine. So, Chop Robinson, obviously, Abdul Carter blitzes a good amount. I am worried about this offensive line Saturday getting pressure and rattling Kyle McCord. Am I good on that? Where are you at with that 1 through 5? Where are you worried with the offensive line keeping them clean?
7.5 on a scale of 1 to 5. I mean, they got Chop Robinson, Adisa Isaac, Denied Dennis Sutton. Like, they have edges on edges on edges that they could keep coming after the passer. And then we've seen Kyle have a tendency to have these deeper drops where he doesn't step up in the pocket or he holds onto the ball a little bit too long. We saw the fumble last week. I am extremely concerned about our offensive line holding up against that. Particularly in the pass game. I think they're still going to be able to find ways to run the ball, but pass protection absolutely concerns me. I think that they're going to find ways to get after the passer. I mean, we saw the clip ups from Menace to Sports of Down Hayden's struggles picking up blitzes during pass pro. So injuries are definitely going to be a concern in the running back room, particularly in the pass game. Are they going to be able to pick up these protections, especially with a guy like Abdul Carter? Like, I call that dude the axe murderer because he's going to take someone's head off with the way he comes flying into the backfield. So I'm absolutely concerned about this offensive line.
Quick question, Ram. Did we ever offer Abdul Carter, or he was just Penn State the entire way?
I'm not sure. He was a lower 3-star, so like when they gave him 11, that was like a big deal. That was like their flex of that. Like,
Yeah.
no, we
No,
know we got one. Like we stole one from everyone.
yeah, I saw his high school highlights. He looked crazy. That's why I was like, dude, like he was just pissing all the way. Big playing, in the north, we definitely got to get the best out there. And I was like, how do we miss him or not even try to compete? I
I
was
think
wondering.
I think after their Michael Parsons situation, they're like, we're just done with Penn State leans. They can have them.
Bro, just thinking back to Micah Parsons, bro. If we had got him along with him, Aaron Browning, Chase Young, like the defense would have looked so freaky. But let me not fantasize it, man. Yeah, offensive line is definitely my first big concern. But obviously, everybody else is probably concerned too. A lot of people do have concern. Craig, I see you there. So Kyle is his concern. As long as they keep Kyle relatively clean, I think he'll be okay. But my second big concern here, and you touched on it a little bit, is injuries. It seems like they seem to be piling up a little bit, and we haven't had any major. We usually get that off season like major, like, oh Lord, here we go. We didn't get that this season. People are just banged up a little bit. They're kind of week to week, so not terrible. We've had some good luck on that one, but Emeka Egbuka, we don't know if he's going to be back yet. Trevion Harrison, Chip. Both of them aren't. We don't know if they're quite ready to go yet. We're hoping they are. Some injuries are piling up on this team. So I want to ask you, injuries. What is the biggest injury right now that we don't, besides Denzel Burke? Because I know you're going to say Denzel Burke. Besides Denzel Burke, player we don't know coming into this week that has to play. Who is that guy for you?
I mean, I feel like if you take away Denzel Burke, that
Yes,
I really do, I really don't. Yeah, I have to go with Jermaine Matthews. I'm definitely gonna. I know he's
no. He's playing. I'm saying player who's been banged up that you're like, oh, we gotta have him back this week.
um.
And then you go with Jermaine Matthews rant.
Yeah.
I know you are obligated financially.
I'm gonna go with Travion Henderson because I feel like his ability in pass protection is underrated, and I feel like just because I feel like people still have such a bad taste in their mouth in regards to Travion Henderson last season that like they'll never forgive Trey, and it's honestly starting to become ridiculous the way that like people are so ready to crown every running back as the next great thing or should be RB1 other than Trey. Trey, like I know that like Chip was the star of the show, the savior from Akron against Notre Dame. But if that drive stalls coming out of halftime where Trey cribs that 60 yards, who knows what that Notre Dame game looks like? And we could be talking about is Ohio State and potentially 9-3 team going in at, like by the end of this season. Like Trey is such an important part to this offense that I feel like people underestimate. Does Chip have that big playability? Yes, but man, when Trey's running past an entire team, it just looks different. I'm rewatching the Penn State game last week or yesterday from last year. And what's Travion Henderson do? Cribs one, I think it was like 35 or 41 yards. Just we're like 3/4 of the way through the drive, and he just caps it off with a long run. And I feel like that's something that people I guess don't appreciate as much from Trey, and I feel like they think that's all that he can do, and get caught up on some of his deficiencies more than the things that he brings to the table. And I think it is crucial that the Buckeyes get Trey back this week.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I beat the drum for Travion Henderson all offseason. I called him 3K Trey. People were talking about Chip and Dallin and mine and the crew. I'm like, Travion Henderson is the one guy on this team that I feel like has definite first round potential if he can consistently play and do the right thing. And I feel like he's done that for the most part this season. His pass blocking has been well. He's running the ball. He's hitting his holes. He's not quite bursting through and breaking tackles like Chip is, but he's doing what the coaches ask him to do, and he's a guy, if you get him in space, we see what he can do. Like I said, if he doesn't have that, 70-yard run against Notre Dame, I highly doubt we win that game because that offense was struggling the most part. And then once that happened, it was like, okay, it opened up a little bit. So Trey is the guy. He had a big-time run last season in this game. We were like, finally, that's the guy we recruited. The saying, you get a guy to the second level, and that's where recruiting takes over. And that's where Travion Henderson is at his best when he's in his foot race. So, yeah, if it wasn't honestly for the pass pro, I would probably go with Emeka Egbuka. I would say, like, he's the guy where we need Zone 6 to really be Zone 6 to show up in this game. But I have fear now in pass pro, especially with Dallin Hayden missing a lot of blocks last game, that if Travion Henderson or Chip is not, back there helping protect him, he might he might be contorted over there, like, somebody help me up. Somebody didn't miss the block.
In regards to Mecca, like, and I feel like it almost is like, it feels like borderline disrespectful for me, like my lack of concern if he's hurt. Like, obviously, personally, I care greatly about Emeka. I want him back as soon as possible. But in regards to beating Penn State, I have all of the faith in the world in Zone 6. Like, whether you put out XJ, BI, Carnell, JB, anyone, like, I have all the faith in the world that, like, if Emeka's not ready to go, there is enough talent in that room that they shouldn't have an excuse. Like, if the Buckeyes were to go out there and lose without Emeka Egbuka, I don't want to hear about, oh, well, we were missing Emeka. He's a first-round wide receiver. There's multiple first-round wide receivers in that room outside of Marvin Emeka. Like, there's tons of talent, and while they may be young and unproven, like, I trust Hartline, I trust Ryan Day, I trust the talent in that room to be able to get it done. I don't think that's going to be something that people are able to look back on and say that's the reason why we lost if Emeka is out on Saturday. How big of an impact do you think missing Emeka on Saturday would be for the Buckeyes, and do you think they should be able to overcome it if he's not able to go?
You are perfectly right. And this Zone 6 they always have so much talent. I swear every guy they have is a top 100 player in the nation that comes in. That they should be able to overcome this and bounce back and just roll through. The problem is we don't see a lot of that talent, but in bits and pieces throughout the season. I mean, this is no longer Zach Smith's room. We're rolling in 6 guys, and you're like, oh, we'll take this piece out. We got another piece to quite fill in. This offense is heavy reliant on Marvin Emeka. And unfortunately, when we get in these big time games, it's usually one of them that goes crazy. I mean, sometimes we get the occasional they both went, insane. But usually it's just one of them where it's like, well, one guy's getting the attention and the other guy is struggling for a minute, or you're not seeing. Last season, we didn't see Emeka in this game. Emeka was covered for the most part, and Marv was the guy to step up. In Notre Dame game, Marv was getting covered, and he wasn't really there, and Emeka was the guy to stand up. So my concern is that you're going to need both, so at least one of them can go off. And y'all can tell me if I'm right, wrong, what's your opinion on this, but I think we need all hands on deck in Zone 6. That secondary is good. They're very solid. They're going to be up there. Notre Dame is one of the best we played this season. I think that we need both going into this game, my concern. If Carnell Tate, I believe he has all the ability to step in, but that would be the guy I would go to if Emeka was out, and I'd be like, all right, let's run him, let's run Julian, and let's go. But yeah, I think we need Emeka in this game, and y'all can let me know if I'm right on that, wrong on that. But he has to play to give us another option there. And then Ron's back.
I'm here.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? You think I'm crazy on that, or you think like, yeah, we need Emeka?
No, I don't like. I hate this. Like, I don't like the phrase like that. We don't need Emeka. We absolutely need Emeka and would want Emeka. But is it essential to have Emeka to win on Saturday? I don't believe so.
Well, you might listen to what I said. Usually when we get into these big time games, like it's one of Marv or Emeka that truly goes off. The other one's there, but they just like kind of disappear. And it's like,
you've seen XJ go crazy.
Yeah, he'll have a play or so in there. But like I said, last season, Penn State, Marv went crazy. Emeka wasn't really there. We go to Notre Dame this season. Emeka was going crazy. Marv wasn't really there. I feel like in these big time games, it's going to be one or the other. But we always have both to do that.
Of the 3 main injuries that we're dealing with right now, we haven't touched on Denzel Burke yet. But as far as Emeka, Denzel, and the running back pairings, I mean, that room, it seems decimated at this point. I mean, all 3 of them, Chip, Mayan, and Trey, are all dealing with things. But I feel like the running back room and the wide receiver room are so deep, and even the corner room is pretty deep, but I feel like wide receiver is the least of my concerns when dealing with injuries and talking about depth on this team. Am I
Fair.
off there?
No. You're fair. You're fair.
I know you got to scramble a little early. Well, not early.
No,
At the normal time, we got started a little late. I wanted to bring
we
Mike
got a
up.
few minutes. We got a few minutes.
All right, well, you're
Oh,
going to hang around, but we got Mike to come fill in and finish up the show because I know you got to get out of here early / on time because we started so late. So I tapped in with Mike. Mike's on the normal schedule for the Buckeye Roast because he's an hour behind. That's about what we are on starting the show today. So if you're in Frisco or Central Time Zone, man, you're right on time for the Buckeye Roast. Just ignore the fact that we're an hour late. So I'll pitch it to both of you guys. Of the three injuries, of the three rooms that are injured, the running back room, the wide receiver room, and the cornerback room, which one do you feel is the biggest concern for you guys going into this week?
go ahead, Mike.
I'm gonna say the corner room, and the reason being is because I've been very vocal about this that I don't feel like they're rotating enough. Now, every time my guy Jermaine Matthews get out there, he's making plays. He's balling, but is he ready to do that consistently on a down-to-down basis? Because one thing that we knew is we didn't have to worry about Burke, right? We didn't have to worry about Denzel's side. You know, they might get a couple plays off of Iggy, but we damn sure never had to really worry about Denzel's side. So now, you know, it kind of plays a little tough this week, man. So hopefully Maine can step up. And I mean, honestly, my thing is this: if Maine is just as good as Burt, hell, why wouldn't he be starting next to him? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what kind of got me worried going into this week.
Yeah, Denzel Burke is the biggest injury, and like I would, if it wasn't Denzel Burke, I would be fine just rolling with these corners, and because I feel like they all can play. But like Mike said, they haven't played enough. They haven't rotated them enough. They're still in, you know, with 10 minutes left against Purdue, and you're just like, there's no way Purdue's coming back to win this game. Why risk it? But yeah, if he's just such a big time player that it's like, missing him, and he's probably the best player. Well, he's the best player that's hurt right now. That, you know, he's just a guy you can't miss. And going into your biggest game of the season so far, that's the guy where it's like, shit, I really wish we had him, but my concern level would be far less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely with the corner room, like Mike said. We pushed Jermaine Matthews propaganda more than anyone on
You pushed. You pushed.
I am the biggest Jermaine Matthews fan that you'll find in the country. I think he was the best defensive back in the nation last year. I think he should have been the number one corner. His film at Witten Woods last year, it looked like wide receiver film. He was taking so many pick sixes back to the house. I think he's more than capable of stepping up, but I'm here to tell you right now, if he doesn't have a great game and you think you're about to come after Jermaine Matthews on the timeline or talk shit, man, we will be fighting. All of you. So I'm telling you right now.
I'm following up.
Blanket coverage for our guy. I have all the faith in the world, but if he does come out there and look like a freshman, bro, I swear to God, I'm going to be talking crazy to anyone that got something crazy to say about Jermaine Matthews. So keep that in the back of your head that we will be coming for you if anyone talks crazy about our boy on Saturday. I have all the faith in the world that he's going to ball out. He had before last week, he came into the game as the highest rated cornerback by PFF in the country. More touchdowns than he has more touchdowns himself personally than passes caught on him. So big shout out to Jermaine. I think he's more than capable of stepping up. Have all the faith in the world in him. I'm a huge believer in this 2023 class. If you guys haven't noticed, Malik Hartford, Jermaine Matthews, the SFE boys at wide receiver. So, and then, I mean, and you know that I'm a huge Tony Alford fan. So the three rooms where I say that there's a ton of talent and have been hyping people up all year, they're gonna have their opportunity to show it with all of the injuries that we've seen across the Buckeyes. And we've done pretty well throughout the season as far as injuries. So to see us banged up and before our biggest game of the season kind of stinks. But I mean, I feel like this is where the elite programs separate themselves, because they're able to make it through these types of long stretches and injury bouts when you have the depth that you have. And it's like, oh, okay, well, your RB4 is able to put up a 100-yard game in the Big Ten 7 games into the season. Oh, you're able to rotate in 2 5-star highly coveted wide receivers if your 5-star wide receiver goes down. Oh, your number 1 corner goes down, replace him with the number 1 cornerback in the country from the last recruiting class. So overall, I feel like this is a flex of depth and showing the type of elite program that Ohio State has, and why fans get so frustrated with recruiting misses, because this is showing you the depth needed to be able to compete at the highest level. And if we were having someone lesser than the people that we're seeing come in these games, I think the concerns would be much higher. I mean, we've just talked about 3 major injuries. I mean, Trey's a day 2 type of guy in the NFL, a day 2 draft guy. Denzel Burke, potentially day 1 draft guy. Emeka Egbuka, day 1 draft guy. And we're sitting here like, yeah, I mean, it stinks that we don't have them, but I believe in our depth. So, I mean, shout out to the coaching staff. I know the fan base, us, everybody has been critical over recruiting, and it's kind of a spoiled Ohio State mentality of like, hey, you know, we're 2, but it would be cool to be 1. But I mean, It's showing you what the depth or what you're able to produce in the depth that you're able to acquire when you are the number 2 recruiting class year in and year out.
Hey, and I told you this in the offseason, Ryan. I told you guys the key. We did a segment talking about the keys for this season. And my biggest one was rotation. That was my biggest thing. And so, like, that's why I say I'm sitting here worried, because what you want those guys to do is make those mistakes earlier in the year against those cupcake teams, right? You don't want them coming in. This is what I said when everybody was hounding Best Damn Media about the CJ Hicks. I said, what if your linebacker is not available and then you need CJ Hicks to come in there? Oh, you want him to start in the biggest game with no game reps? That makes no sense. So, hey, we're about to F around and find out.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, as far as concerns, we've talked about Ohio State's offensive line. We've talked about injuries. What are some of the other things that concern you going into Saturday? Because we talked about the keys to victory yesterday on Bleacher Report, me and our guy Chris Drew of Menace to Sports. If you missed that, make sure you tap in on the Ohio State team stream, or you check out yesterday's episode. We re-aired it on the YouTube during the Buckeye Roast slot. So if you haven't checked that out, check out our keys to victory against Penn State with me and Chris Drew here on the channel or in the Bleacher Report app. But we're going to continue on our concerns, because I don't want to sunshine pump all week and act like we're not worried about Penn State, because I'm absolutely worried about this game. I think this is going to be a huge test for the Buckeyes, and just the thought of potentially losing and dealing with, Chris Drew brought it up yesterday. Man, if the Buckeyes were to go down on Saturday, we'd have to root for Michigan. And I'm not interested in that whatsoever. I need the Buckeyes to go out there and handle business. I mean, you see the record that James Franklin has against Ohio State. I believe it's 1-8 or 1-9, something like that. And I mean, it feels. I kind of have Notre Dame vibes, where I'm like, yeah, Notre Dame's a really good team, but like, we're Ohio State. You know what I mean? Like, my grandma is 94 and Notre Dame's beat Ohio State 1 time in her lifetime. And we've seen James Franklin beat Ohio State 1 time in his entire tenure. I just don't I don't want to overlook this game, but there are absolutely concerns. And my biggest concern outside of offensive line and injuries is turnovers. Kyle's done a fairly good job protecting the ball, hasn't thrown too many interceptions. The fumble wasn't great. We've seen another fumble earlier in the season. Are you worried about the Buckeyes' ability to protect the ball? Because I feel like every possession is going to be so crucial in this game.
No, you're right. Every possession is going to be highly crucial in this game, Ryan. One of my biggest concerns is which Ryan Day shows up. Does conservative Ryan Day show up, or does Ryan Day with all the juice show up? Because I think that's so understated when it comes to Ryan Day. In big games, we've seen him in the big games, call tight games, and we like, why is he doing this? We knew this play has not worked all season. Why is he trying to force it? And when he's trying to do those, enforcing those limit our possessions. And you're talking about a year where the play clock isn't the same. Ryan Day cannot play tight. He has to play to go win this game. So that's one of my concerns. That's something that I'm going to be watching, is which Ryan Day shows up.
Yeah, piggybacking on Mike. Yeah, turnovers are important, of course. We turn the ball over a crazy amount, we're going to be in trouble. But I would say my biggest fear is just this offense having another slow start, like the Notre Dame game, the Maryland game. This is not a game where I want to be chasing Penn State down on points. Well, I feel like if we start slow, like regardless, it's going to be a close game all the way through. The one chance we have is to start with momentum. We're at home. You know, they're wearing the scarlet, put a little bit of a lead up and lean on this defense. I do not want to be like, oh, we're down 7 at half. Oh, we're down, 7 going into the fourth. Like, I feel like that would be a very stressful experience. So that's my concern. Kyle needs to step up and play as well as he did, or better than he did against Purdue. He can't be missing, open guys on third downs. Like, this is a very important game for both Zone 6 and Kyle McCord to establish themselves going forward, because the question is, still with Buckeye Nation, can we get into a shootout and, get it done? So, and the offense has major concerns. So that is my concern. That slow start is going to worry the hell out of me if it was to happen.
And it seems like that's a concern for Penn State's as well. Our guy Nick here says, as a PSU fan, my biggest fear is going down early. If Penn State can keep it close early, I think it will be a dogfight till the end. Whoever controls the line of scrimmage will win. I agree with that. What was that, Mike?
That's where the games are won, in the trenches.
Absolutely. And I agree with Nick. As an Ohio State fan, I fear a slow start as well. I think both of us have the same concerns of, we have not seen our quarterback have to rally from behind early. Like, at no point have the Buckeyes had a game in doubt early in the game, like, wow, this could get out of hand if we don't get our shit together. And I feel like Penn State really hasn't experienced that either. They have had slow starts on the road. We've seen the Buckeyes have slow starts. Outside of Western Kentucky and Purdue, the Buckeyes really haven't got out of the gates well. So I'm interested to see if either one of these teams can get out early and hang a lead and see how these quarterbacks respond, because I feel like something that I know we're talking about concerns for Ohio State, but Penn State fans have to be worried about Drew Aller on the road in his first major game. Like, yes, he plays in front of 100,000 people. He's played in a whiteout. He knows what a crazy environment looks like at Penn State. But we've never seen Drew Aller. He hasn't thrown an interception this year. We haven't seen him throw an interception in front of 110,000 people celebrating his failures in his home state, and see how he has to respond to that mentally. We haven't seen them go down 2 scores on the road and have to battle back against one of the best defenses in the country. And I feel like all of those same things, for the most part, can be said about Ohio State battling back. But we've seen Kyle in the moment step up and have to be the man on the road and get it done. And while he struggled early against Notre Dame, but when his back was against the wall, we saw Kyle go out there and do it. And Penn State fans, I don't know, and they could, if there's any in here, let us know in the chat. How confident are you in Drew Aller's ability to do that if his back's against the wall in Ohio Stadium? Do you guys worry about Penn State's quarterback play being able to elevate them to a different level this year than we saw last year under Sean Clifford?
Base-wise with Sean Clare, I mean, I'm sure every Penn State fan was celebrating when he walked out the door, just to have the abilities that Drew Aller had and throw him back there. But like you said, we haven't seen it from Drew Aller yet. This is kind of going to be like his Notre Dame game, but I mean, he's from Ohio, so it makes it even bigger. Him stepping in and we expect the situation to get rough. We expect the intensity to go up and see what he's really made of and what he can do. So this will be a big time challenge for him. I mean, a guy that a lot of us are high on Ohio State side of seeing it, but it's time to put his feet to the fire and see what it's made of. I feel like this Penn State passing game is prime for a level up with Drew Aller. I mean, he's looked good at times this season, but he's been inconsistent. So this will be a good challenge for him. But this defense ain't exactly one I want to be rolling into as well as they played. But I feel like we're going to really see what he's made of Saturday, and that's exciting just as a football fan.
Yeah, I don't know if Kyle has that JT Barrett spirit in him, or what. JT went like, 12 for 12 or something like that, or whatever, to come back against Penn State, man. But like I said, we are going to find out. One concern that I feel like we didn't talk about is the linebackers and what
I knew
they,
you were going
yeah, because I mean, I do feel like here's the thing about Penn State is Drew Aller and Penn State have basically kind of, even though they've been passing the ball, it's kind of dinking and dunking down the field. And when you're doing that, what's our biggest concern when it comes in the passing game? Them linebackers, right? And I mean, I can honestly see them, when our linebackers are dropping in zone, having those wide receivers coming across, and we know that still, Tommy, they have no feel in the pass coverage of the guys coming across their face or coming around behind them. They have no feel of that. So that's something I'm worried about. Also, if you've watched these games, there's some comparisons that you can make to Drew Aller and Kyle McCord. Those what the fuck moments that Kyle McCord continues to have, and you're like, why did he throw that? Drew Aller's had that too. He just hasn't had no athletic linebackers or DBs that's been able to pick the ball off. So I mean, other than the interception that Kyle had in the Indiana game, Kyle has had some of those what the hell moments as well. So both of these quarterbacks got to be on their P's and Q's, but for some reason, every time one of these players that wanted to play at Ohio State goes up against Ohio State, they end up having some crazy good games. So, I mean, we're going to find out, man. It's definitely like our guy Nick said, trenches and QB play is going to win. Is going to determine this game.
So I have two more questions for you guys before we get out of here. I want to just get your overall concern levels on a level of 1 to 10. Your concern going up against Penn State this week. Are you worried for a Buckeye loss? Where is your concern meter at heading into this game? We discussed the injuries. We discussed potential turnovers. We discussed the offensive line. All things to be concerned about for the Buckeyes. We also discussed keys to victories yesterday and on Monday on Bleacher Report. So just want to get your thoughts. Where is your concern meter at right now?
I'm going to say 10 being like the most concerned, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and just put it at like, what, a 5. Let's go 50%. You know what I'm saying? Because I do feel this can go either way. That's how I'm feeling about this game. In the preseason, I was of the belief that Penn State might be a year too early. This isn't the year because all of those guys last year were freshmen, and now they're sophomores, and 2024 will be that year. But the way they playing, it could be this year. So, like I said, 50-50 because the Buckeyes look like they got better against Purdue, but again, it's Purdue. Let's see them do it up against a top 10 team.
Yeah, I am probably somewhere between a 6 and a 7. The true concern with this team is I feel like we're very solid on all fronts. I just feel like this offense has not shown the times where they can just really turn it on. I mean, Purdue, I'm not going to count that because their defense is not good. This is a top 10 matchup. We're in a different lane here. And they have not, except a little bit against Maryland at the end, they just haven't shown that ability to turn it on, put a couple drives together, and really put some distance between them and their opponent. That is truly my concern when it comes to winning the Natties. Last year, we knew if CJ played like shit for 3 quarters, he could turn it on, and we could hit 14, 21 just like that. So that is where my concern is. I would put it, I'd say 6.5.
Yeah, I guess I'm the most concerned out of everyone. I will go with a 7 here just because I feel like there's so many implications for how this season looks and what the coverage of this team is going to look like if they were to lose. So my concern is more with the fallout after the game, and that leads me into my next question. Now that you guys are members of, I mean, not officially on the beat, but you do cover the team in a regular capacity, I want to know, like, what is your concern as a content creator coming out of this game? Because me personally, like, after the Michigan game last year, I was in an Uber after, I think it was the first big Donovan Edwards run in the second half. I was like, I got to get off a high street because if I run into a Michigan fan, I'm out of state. If I get into a fight, I'm not making it to work on Monday. So I was like, I got to get out of this bar. I got to get back to my cousin's place because it's going to get reckless around here. And then I sat in a space and was accosted by every college football fan that has ever seen me speak in spaces for the next 36 hours. So it never ended. And then Chris Drew and I talked about it on Bleacher Report this week. We convinced ourselves that the Ohio State game was over at least 3 different times during the Notre Dame game. So at some point during this season, I had already had the mental conversation with myself, you may be covering a 9-3 team the rest of the year, so you better fucking buck up, kiddo, and figure out how you're going to talk about this team for the rest of the year if they lose this Notre Dame game, because you're live in 5 minutes on Bleacher Report if they blow this. So, the amount of that we've talked about this team, and now having been in the public eye for the Michigan loss, the Notre Dame win was close. Are you guys, if the Buckeyes were to go down, how much have you worried about that as a creator and having to continue to talk about the Buckeyes?
I'm not worried at all, because I think I told you guys in the private chat, I already got my ammo ready. So people better not come too reckless, but only thing that's going to happen is delusional fans are going to say that we didn't stand in the paint. But we'll be in the paint right after the game, live on Voice of College Football, Ohio State, right? We be in the paint on Bleacher Report. We're in the paint on our YouTube. We're in the paint all the time. We are outside. We don't just limit ourselves to one platform. So if you do have something to say to us, make sure you come to those platforms. Come say it there. I'm not running from the smoke. I'm not scared of them. Guess what my team has been? 90% of y'all teams haven't been relevant for 20 plus years. So I can enjoy that. 1 year won't hurt me, won't kill me.
Oh, man. Well, real quick shout out to Ken Smith. He was like, special teams hasn't been solid either. So he was right on that one. I missed that when I said the team was solid. But it can't be worse than after the Michigan loss last season. Oh, my goodness. We probably could have called the cops on what people were saying to us in that space. For oh my goodness, how long were we there? 4 hours. Rob was there for years,
bro. I did 8.5 hours in the space after Ohio State lost to Michigan, and then I sat in the space for 4.5 hours as I drove home from Columbus to Pittsburgh and let people yell at me the whole time, to the point that I was grabbing my suitcase out of my car and my phone's on speaker and people are still just yelling at me. It just felt like a dark cloud just followed me around my house all that day. I ordered food. I go outside to pick it up off my porch. There's still people yelling at me in the spaces. It was inescapable. But I do not. And before we get out of here, I'm going to just put it on wax because I see people already bookmarking the show this week on Twitter, because I'm guessing people want to clip it up. We appreciate all the free promo.
Hey, yeah, we definitely appreciate that. Hey.
But I'll put it on wax for all you guys if you want to go ahead and clip this up. The Buckeyes are going to win on Saturday. I have all the faith in the world. While we did just spend 38 minutes talking about our concerns, we did do a whole show on Monday talking about our keys to victory and the fact that we do think the Buckeyes do get it done. So I want to know, are you guys there with me? Do you guys believe the Buckeyes are going to win going into Saturday? Because as of right now, while there are plenty of concerns, I have plenty of reasons to believe that the Buckeyes can get it done, and I am very confident in the way our team has been playing recently. So I just wanted to get your thoughts. Are you there with me? Do you guys believe going into Saturday the Buckeyes get this done?
Yeah, I'm going to be of the belief that Ohio State wins, man. I don't even know what a Nittany Lion is, so how are we supposed to lose to something that's not even real, right? Yeah, as my guy Dad said, put me on the record. I go on the record. Yeah, I think Ohio State comes out with the victory, but yeah, I'm an Ohio State fan, so I might be a little biased on that.
Yeah, I'm back, my guys. I'm with it as well. I think we have enough to get it done. It's a big time game, top 10 matchup. This is why we do this. It's going to be such a good time covering this on Saturday. I feel like we roll, man. I got to roll with Kyle Snow. If he truly is Kyle Snow, we got to take back over the North, and we get to do it at home this time. So, hey, Buckeyes roll, man.
Appreciate you guys tuning in and watching the show today. Apologize for the late starts, but man, look at how many people are in here. We got 50 plus people in here. I don't know what the like numbers are at, but probably not high enough for my liking. So let's run that up a little bit. We're at 20 likes, 50 people in here. Let's run that up to 35 before we get out of here. We appreciate all of you guys tuning in. It is a double show day here today on Best Damn Media. Mike, Cam, Diz will be on tonight for the Fans Edge. If you are a Notre Dame fan or a USC fan, you are going to want to tap in because I'm sure they got a ton to say on that today. But, man, we appreciate you guys tuning in here for the Buckeye Roast every morning at 8 a.m. Special thank you to our guy, Mike, for joining us this morning because we got in so late. Q's hella important and got to get to work here. So we appreciate you guys. Let the people know where they can find you before we get out of here.
Go ahead, Mike.
Find me tonight, 7:30, right here on Best Damn Media, the Fans Edge. Our USC Notre Dame takes, them motherfuckers hit like a mug. I'm just saying. So you definitely want to be tuned in for these games because we break it down all the games. Also, flagship show, I'm there with Ryan, Q, Cam, every Sunday, 10 a.m.
Yes, sir. I will definitely be there too. If you want to find me on the timeline, City Boy Quinn, Friday Johnson on Instagram. Oh, excuse me. And then back 8 a.m. here tomorrow. We'll be on time. We'll set 2 alarms. We'll be on time back here to cover the show. Most definitely.
Yeah, double show day again tomorrow. We have the Buckeye Roast at 8 a.m. and then Chris Drew and I will have a night show tomorrow at 6 p.m. on Bleacher Report talking Penn State, Ohio State, even more. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at 2Ts2_TEES. You can find me on Twitch at the same thing, on TikTok at 2Shiesty. We are here every morning at 8 a.m. for the Buckeye Roast. Fans Edge tonight at 7:30. Dogs Film Room, something we got to talk about here real quick. I don't know what the fuck is going on. The video that we use for the film breakdown is alive and well on YouTube, but for some reason, someone who doesn't have a copyright claim on the video submitted one, and they pulled this week's episode of Dogs Film Room. We are trying to figure out a workaround for that. We may do them live in the Discord, so make sure that you tap in there, but we will find a new way to get you guys Dogs Film Room. That is too good of content to let YouTube bully us out of doing that, so we will find a way to bring that to you this week. It may be live, maybe a whole group of us watching it with dogs, so we will see what happens. Let us know in the chat how you guys want to view Dogs Film Room. So we're going to get that to you at some point this week. The college football pregame show on Saturday with me and Chris Drew. I know it's going to be an action-packed one. Plenty of guests, huge game day. So make sure that you tap in for that. And, of course, the flagship Buckeye BS every Sunday at 10 a.m. with us three plus our guy, Cam. Make sure that make sure that you tune in to all of these, and make sure that you tap in on the Bleacher Report app. We appreciate you tuning in to the Buckeye Roast, and we will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Tune in tonight for the Fans Edge. Appreciate you guys.
I'm my own time.